All right, so Codex Report Part 2, Monday, 21st of March. Um, Fukushima. They finally got water running to a couple of the reactors, and then today they had more steam venting and whatnot from reactor 3, and are still having more and more problems. And I don't know what to say about this anymore. It's You need to just go and look at, I mean, everything you can possibly find, because somewhere in there is going to be the truth. And from where I am, I don't feel confident enough to really speak on that. I know there's a lot of people talking about HARP being involved. I don't think there's a need to include HARP in it. Um, if HARP was involved at all, I could see it simply as an auxiliary. There was already going to be an earthquake, and maybe they helped it along a little bit or something like that. Um, Other than that, I don't want to go into that until I have some firmer information. If you're interested in that side of things, go and check out the Benjamin Fulford video that he did. It's linked in my site. Um, I trust Benjamin Fulford personally, and I do believe that that is definitely a possibility. But as of right now, I don't have any proof, so I'm going to shut up on that part of it. Um, the problems with the reactor, the thing about entombing it, and that. Um, I was just watching a news report, and they were talking about Chernobyl, and they said Chernobyl, in the first like week to 10 days, they had almost, or the first month, I guess it was, they had almost 1 million people to go through and start working on this. And this is what people don't realize is you okay, burying it, yes, is a possibility, and is definitely something that needs to be examined. But before you can even bury it, you've got to pick up all the debris. I talked a little bit about that in the last report. If you if you go and watch the Chernobyl disaster incident, it talks about the liquidators. And the liquidators were all the people that they had to hire to go around and spray this sticky, not quite foam stuff that would stick the radiation particles either to the building or to the ground or whatever. And then they had to wash it and scrape the ground and get the radiation. And a lot of places they had to take like the top 3 to 6 inches of the ground. Um, Sometimes they didn't bother. There's there were teams that had to go around and just shoot everything. They had to shoot the dogs and the cats and squirrels and deer and wild boar and bear, and basically every living thing in that region had to be killed, because the radiation collects on the fur, and if you get one of these hairs on you, then you are contaminated. So I don't think people realize just the extent of some of the things of what it's going to take to clean this up. And if it's as bad as some of the estimates, um, 600 or 300,000 fuel rods stored on top of these buildings and in the ponds around, which were blown into the air or burned or different things. There's such a phenomenal amount of radioactive material that has been dispersed into that area. I don't see where there's any realistic solution, other than, um, I mean, drastic solution. Like, you would need to, um, go through and literally, you know, uh, dismantle every single building within, like, say, a 3 mile radius. And you can't burn them, because then the particles go into the atmosphere. You would have to, you would have to bury it. You know, you'd have to, you know, I mean, you could send it, put it in an incinerator, and then maybe you'd have to have some special, you know, filters or whatnot. But I mean, what are the hazards of doing that? I mean, is the radiation going to build up inside the furnace? I mean, who knows? We don't know the consequences of this, and I think that is biggest the biggest scariest thing about this whole situation is that we don't know what the effects of this massive of a um, fires and explosions, you know, radioactive steam, you know, you name it. There's everything is involved in this right now, and the you know the fact that there's so much going on right now. Um, you know, there's rioting in, you know, so many countries. There's there's going to be, you know, famines. There's all the flooding. You know, the yeah. I mean, you think about it. Just like 3 weeks ago, Australia got hit by that huge flooding, and then they had a cyclone. You know, where's that in the news? It's gone. Christchurch, New Zealand. You know, they've had two massive earthquakes in the space of like the last, what, 2 months. You don't hear hardly anything about them. Um, it's like I just said. There's so much going on that I don't think people can really comprehend. You know, the last time that there was this much going on. You know, I just watched a video and they were talking. Joe Salente was talking about, you know, the Archduke Ferdinand incident that started, quote unquote, you know, World War I, and he's like, no, that didn't start World War I. You know, yes, it was a trigger that, you know, everything kind of came to a head, but there was a lot of other things that were leading up to it, and I think that's where we are right now. And Libya may be the Archduke Ferdinand moment. You know, I mean, we just killed another one of Gaddafi's sons. I mean, we killed his daughter, you know, 20 years ago. Now we killed one of his sons. You know, I mean, how many people do are we gonna kill before they? I mean, literally are gonna start doing that here. You know, I mean, they keep raving about the terrorists and domestic terror and blah blah blah, but realistically, you know, we're pretty safe in the United States. The biggest problem with the United States is that the citizens have guns, and that's why they're trying to fucking get everybody scared into the whole, you know, domestic terror and, oh, your neighbor's gonna go and, you know, have a school shoot up a school, or, you know, it's crap. You need to understand that, you know, 95% of what's on the mass media is lies. It's blatant lies and misinformation in order to make you think about things a certain way. And I really, I really don't want to get into, like, you know, who controls the media and all that, because there's been a lot on that lately. You know, go search Helen Thomas, you know, and go search David Duke, and, you know, watch some of their videos. And, you know, regardless of what you believe about these people, it's in the news media. You know, there was an article in one of the magazines. You know, who runs Hollywood, or, you know, do the Jews run Hollywood? And it says, you bet we do. So, um, I think that within the next month or 2 months, there's going to be, okay, I'm going to say this right now. You know, I don't think that just because that we started bombing Libya and we took out the air defenses and whatnot, that's not going to stop the thing in Libya. You know, we're going to be there for a while, and whether it's, you know, America, or it's, you know, France, Italy, Germany, whoever, somebody is going to be there, because I mean, we're sticking our nose in where it doesn't belong, and that's the end of that. Um, the BP oil spill. is basically gone from the news, and that is, such a a massive catastrophe that I don't think we're ever going to see the end of that. The state of Louisiana just sued BP a couple weeks ago for $1 million a day for the oil spill, and good for them. Good for them. It needs to be like $10 million a day or $100 million, and BP will still just write off the losses. It's ridiculous. Um, Obama, I meant to mention this. Obama down in Brazil is going to give Brazil money to drill so that we can buy Brazil's oil. What the fuck is he talking about? Seriously, this guy's an idiot. He is an enemy of the United States. He needs to be impeached. He needs to be out of office because everything he does is destroying America. Everything he does is destroying our freedom and our independence. We have more oil just in one. The Bracken oil reserve was what, 3 trillion barrels. The North Slope of Alaska is another 2 or 3 trillion barrels of oil. And they're talking about, oh, the huge deposits down in Brazil. He's got 3 billion barrels and or 5 billion barrels, and the other one is maybe 30 billion barrels. 3 trillion barrels, and we're not going to touch it because the douchebag environmentalists won't let us. Because either we're gonna kill a salamander, or we're gonna destroy a wood boring beetle, or seriously, if you want the humans dead, say it. Don't lie and give us some excuse saying that you want to save the planet, so we have to not drill for oil and this, that, and the other thing. No, shut up. You lie, and we don't want to hear it. It's crap. What it comes down to is that you like being able to lord over someone else that you think you know better, and this goes for Maury Strong. This goes for Al Gore. This goes for Greenpeace. This goes for all of them. You need to pull your heads out of your asses. Um, Nobody believes what you say anymore. The IPCC over in England, nobody believes you. Nobody believes it. The weather changes. That's why it's called the weather. Of course the climate is going to get more violent or less violent depending on, oh my God, what the sun does. I don't I don't have any patience for these people to say, oh, we're burning too much coal, or we're driving too many cars. You know, the problem with that whole premise is that the oil companies own the patents for the alternative technologies. Why do you think that we're still stuck with oil? We have technology that we could be off of oil. It's about the money, stupid. Seriously. They're making so much money that, I mean, I don't even know what the oil companies made this year, but I remember this was, years ago when one of the oil companies made, 28 or like $30 billion profit in a year. And, how did they do that? Because they're paying like, 40, 50, 60, 70 cents a gallon, and then charging us, $2.50, $3 a gallon. Granted, there's state tax and there's federal tax and there's, blah, blah, blah tax in there. Seriously. We need to nationalize the oil companies to the people. And I don't want to hear any of this shit about you can't do it. You can do it. They've been stealing our money for the last 75 years, 50 years, blatantly.